What would you do if the path to your sanctuary was sealed shut by someone else's rules? For years, the trail to Lake Serene was my refuge. A winding path through whispering pines and wildflowers that led to a mirror-like lake cradled by mountains. It was where I scattered my father's ashes, where I proposed to my wife, Lena, and where our daughter, Mia, took her first steps on soft moss. But one morning, I found a chain-link fence blocking the trail, topped with a sign, "Private property HOA access only." My blood boiled. The homeowners association had no right to claim what belonged to everyone, or so I thought. I wasn't alone in my outrage. The small town of Willow Creek, nestled at the base of the Cascades, thrived on that trail. Hikers, families, and even old Mr. Callahan, who'd walk his ancient beagle there every dawn, depended on it. The HOA, led by Karen Whitmore, a woman with a smile as sharp as a blade, had decided the trail lowered property values by attracting outsiders. Karen, with her perfectly manicured lawn and gated mansion, had convinced the HOA to fence it off, claiming the land was theirs. The town fought back petitions, town hall shouting matches, even a small protest with signs reading, "Free the trail." But Karen's influence was ironclad, backed by lawyers and a suspicious deed. Couldn't let it go. That trail wasn't just dirt and trees. It was memory, freedom, life. Lena, always the voice of reason, urged me to move on. "Ethan, we'll find another place," she said, her brown eyes soft with worry. But I couldn't. Mia deserved to grow up with that lake just as I had. So I dug deeper. Late nights poring over county records revealed a loophole. The land wasn't fully owned by the HOA. A small, overlooked parcel at the trailhead, including the gate, was still privately held by an absentee owner. I tracked them down, cashed out my savings, and bought it. For $42,000, I owned the gate and the only key. The day I locked the gate was electric. Karen's face when she saw me twirling the key was worth every penny. "This is outrageous, Ethan," she screeched, her voice echoing through the pines. "You can't block our trail." The irony was delicious. I leaned against the fence, key glinting in the sun, and said, "It's my land now, Karen. My rules." The town cheered me on. Mr. Callahan brought me a thermos of coffee, his beagle wagging its tail. Even Lena, skeptical at first, laughed as we watched HOA members fume from the other side of the fence. But victory was short-lived. Karen didn't back down. She escalated. Lawsuits piled up, claiming I was obstructing community rights. The HOA hired surveyors, arguing the deed was invalid. My savings dwindled on legal fees, and stress crept into our home. Mia stopped asking to go to the lake. She sensed the tension. Lena's patience wore thin. "Is it worth it, Ethan?" she asked one night, her voice trembling. "We're losing more than we're gaining." I didn't have an answer. I just held the key tighter, as if it could anchor me. Then came Jasper, the twist I never saw coming. He was a quiet man, maybe 60, with weathered hands and a limp, who appeared at a town hall meeting. No one knew him well. Moved to Willow Creek a year ago, keeping to himself. He approached me after the meeting, his eyes glinting with something unreadable. "I know that trail," he said. "Used to walk it as a boy. My dad built the original path." His voice carried weight, like he was confessing a secret. Intrigued, I invited him for coffee, hoping he'd be an ally. Jasper's story unraveled over steaming mugs. His father, a logger, had carved the trail decades ago, not for the town, but for his family. The land had been theirs until financial ruin forced a sale. Jasper had been a teenager watching developers swoop in. "That trail was my dad's heart," he said, his voice cracking. "When the HOA fenced it, it felt like losing him again." I saw my own pain mirrored in his eyes, but then he dropped a bombshell. He'd been working with Karen, not out of loyalty but desperation. The HOA had promised him access to the trail if he helped discredit my claim. He'd been feeding them information about my purchase, my finances, my every move. Betrayal stung like a slap. "Why tell me now?" I demanded. Jasper looked down, ashamed. "I saw your daughter at the protest, holding that sign. reminded me of my own girl, long gone. I couldn't do it anymore. His confession shifted everything. Jasper wasn't just a turncoat. He was a man broken by loss, manipulated by Karen's promises. I wanted to hate him, but I saw myself in his desperation to reclaim what was stolen. Armed with Jasper's insight, I doubled down. He testified at the next hearing, exposing Karen's tactics, bribes, forged documents, even threats to other landowners. The town rallied harder, and the court ruled in my favor. The fence came down, the trail reopened. Willow Creek celebrated with a bonfire by the lake, kids splashing in the shallows, Mr. Callahan toasting with his thermos. I felt like a hero, the key still in my pocket, a symbol of triumph. But the cost was heavier than I'd imagined. Lena had been right, my obsession had fractured us. The legal battles drained our savings, and the stress widened the cracks in our marriage. One night, after Mia was asleep, Lena sat me down. "I love you, Ethan, but I can't keep fighting your wars," she said, tears streaming. "This trail, this key, it's taken you from us." She wasn't wrong. I'd been so focused on winning, I hadn't noticed Mia's drawings of the lake stop appearing on the fridge, or Lena's laughter fade. The final blow came months later. The trail was open, but the town had changed. Karen, humiliated, sold her mansion and left, but her allies lingered, sowing division. Neighbors who cheered me now whispered about my stunt with the key, calling it selfish. Jasper vanished, leaving only a note thanking me for giving him closure. And Lena? She took Mia to her sister's for a break. I stood alone by Lake Serene, the key heavy in my hand, staring at the water where my father's ashes had settled years ago. I'd won the trail but lost everything else. In a fit of clarity, I hurled the key into the lake. It sank, rippling the surface, and with it went my anger, my pride, my need to control. The trail was free, but I wasn't. I'd fought for a memory, not a future. As the ripples faded, I realized the lake didn't need a gatekeeper it never had. The real fight was rebuilding what I'd broken with Lena and Mia, if they'd let me. I turned from the water, the weight of my choices heavier than any key. ND.